Hello, and welcome to Business Pants, where we make business news suck less. I'm your host, Damian Rawlis, joined every day by our favorite pundit and talking head, Matt Moscardi. We are the co-founders of Free Float Media. That's right. Today, October 30th, 2019, on Business Pants, we put a bow on Boeing's apology tour. We actually talk about environmental news, talking about some Brazilian oil spills and how GM and Toyota are suddenly BFFs with Trump. And finally, we discuss such things as how Grubhub analysts are laughing too much, Peter Thiel's anti-man crush on Elon Musk, and how Uber and Lyft continue to sound like assholes.
Wow.
Hey, Matt.
I
Yeah,
mean,
sorry. How's it going,
coming
Matt?
out hard.
I know. I'm sorry, but I'm sick of this Uber and Lyft crap. You want to begin the show, or you want to say something about your life?
I want to say so. The only thing I'd like to say is I wish I had one. We can begin the show because this is my life. I live here.
Right.
Although I don't think I'm a pundit.
Ooh.
I think I need to say this for the record.
Okay.
Because a pundit just talks about stuff. I'm doing research. I'm an
What
analyst.
is a pundit then?
I'm
So
actually.
you're saying,
No, here's the thing.
yeah.
We just happen to have all this expertise.
Mm-hmm.
We're just normal people. We're just like you, no listeners.
Let's be honest. For those of you listening at home, we're also live streaming this on video, which really makes us way cooler than everybody else. I'm just gonna go out there and say it. Okay.
Your daughter told me that.
Yeah, we're not just doing a podcast. I mean, that's so 2014. We are live streaming on video, and I gotta say, the more I look at us, you look like a host. I look like a bum. So I don't know. Maybe maybe I should be the pundit, put on a weird hat, and like just spout weird conspiracy theories. But we'll figure this out.
I'm all in on that.
Let's start the news. I'm going to hit the clock. We have to start today on our apology tour and talk a bit about Boeing's mostly brutal Senate hearing yesterday. There's a lot to unwrap here, but in a nutshell, CEO Dennis Muilenburg took punches from all sides over Boeing's 737 MAX crisis. 1 year to the day after a Lion Air operated MAX plunged into the Java Sea as pilots struggled to gain control over a flight software system unique to that version of Boeing's best-selling 737 model. And this is really the crux of the issue here, is this flight software system, which Dennis appears to really know nothing about. In front of families and friends of the 189 Lion Air victims, the CEO said, and I quote, "On behalf of myself and the Boeing company, we are sorry. We are deeply and truly sorry. We've made mistakes and we got some things wrong." I feel like he started off good there, but ended we got some things wrong on a really good ending. Despite the apology, unfortunately, the CEO's main defense, the tone of his main defense really was ignorance. And I'm not being a dick here. It really was basically ignorance. And his most detailed plan going forward was essentially that something needs to be done.
Like something.
But there's no real there are no details in how that is happening, how those, what is going to be done and how. So I ask you, Matt, and I have a few answers, but I'm going to ask you this first. How the hell does this guy still have a job?
Yeah. I don't know so much.
Well, I have a few thoughts. So if you want to know my thoughts.
Well, yeah. Well, I want to know your thoughts about something specific, because it's like I don't really understand it very well, because I went down this rabbit hole trying to figure out the answer to that question. Like, why? How on earth? Like, why wouldn't they fire him? Why wouldn't they just say you're out? And I thought, like, well, maybe they won't fire him because it's too expensive to fire him. Maybe.
Well, it's always possible. A company's that big.
So I'm relatively. I mean, I know the concepts of, like, golden parachutes and the Adam Newman world of parachuting. I know concepts like severance vesting of shares, like when you get axed and stuff. By the best I can tell, okay, I wrote some things that, look at, I have paper. I use
Yeah.
paper. I wrote some things down
Nice.
here.
I like it. I like it.
Muhlenberg looks like he's entitled to between cash and all these kind of shares and performance things, about 30 some odd $1 million of, if he gets canned, they have to pay him this, which includes $8,300 for tax preparation services. Did you know H&R Block costs $8,300?
When I use them, it costs about $18.
That's new to me.
Yeah.
And also, they offer $7,500 in outplacement services. Like they
good.
go to like monster.com and have somebody like put out an ad that says,
Yeah.
ex CEO of company possibly going to be convicted of fraud, looking for job. I guess that costs $7,500. Can you explain though? Is that like expensive? Like, is
Let me add
that a
something.
reason?
You're actually missing two parts of this. Is that he also gets about $12 million in pension. That's his accumulated benefit right now, about $12 million, and he'll also get about $13 million in deferred compensation. So don't forget that, Matt.
Gosh, I need to get fired.
Yeah, you need to get fired for contributing to fatal
But
plane crashes.
is that seriously? Is that like a reason that you might not fire him?
It could be a reason, and oddly, I'm going to say that these numbers have actually gone down. It used to be kind of industry standard that they would get 3 times their annual salary and bonus, but now it's about 1 times that. So a man making about $20 million a year would stand to get about a $60 million bonus when he leaves the company. But I think that there's another.
It's a discount.
Yeah, no, we're trending a little bit better in this area, at least in America. But I think there's another more like a bigger, uglier reason why Dennis still has a job. You want to know what I think?
I'm afraid. Yeah.
All right. So I looked at the board of directors here at Boeing because this is really who
they fire him.
These are his bosses, essentially.
Yeah.
Of course, the weird part of being in America and an American company is that he's also a part of the board, right?
Yeah, of course.
And before a couple of weeks ago, he was 2 parts of the board because he was the CEO and the chairwoman. But now he's no longer that. He's just the CEO. Okay. So here's what I dug up about the board. There's 14 people on the board. 9 of these people, that's all 9 of the people from the private sector. All of them, which is 2/3 of the board, all of them are CEOs or former CEOs of America's biggest companies. So these are Dennis's buddies. I mean, these are his peers, right? So there's not going to be a scenario where these CEOs are going to play the blame the CEO game and fire a CEO for this type of incident. It's just, I don't think it's going to happen.
Do you actually think that? Do you think it's like a skull and bones thing? Like they're a little club?
I mean, this would be an example of that possibility, right? Okay, on top of that, there is a clear case of cronyism here. So Dennis, okay, bear with me here. Dennis serves on the board of Caterpillar, right?
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
And I'm going to just say before I get too deep here, he needs to quit that because he needs time to figure some stuff out at Boeing, all right? I don't know what the hell he's doing at Caterpillar. No, I'm serious. So I don't even know how this is still happening. But he's on the board of Caterpillar with 2 other Boeing directors, including the company's new chair, David Calhoun. And they've been on this board for over 8 years. So this is 8 years of like hundreds of meetings, private jet trips, gold dip donuts. So are you going to tell me that these 3 people don't have some kind of a special bond?
All right.
Come on.
Just so you know, I could fire you. I've known you for a long time, but I'd be happy to fire you.
But could you fire me?
I don't think technically I can, but I would be happy to. If you think hanging out for a long time is enough, you're wrong, because I'm happy to fire you.
It's a wrong answer. All right, let's move on. I feel relaxed all of a sudden. All right, let's go inside the pants. Let's talk about a couple of environmental stories. Oh, I like what you've done there.
It's a party
We
in
don't
that
talk
pants.
we don't talk about the environment enough, but as you know, the environment is part of this old dusty acronym called ESG, which we now call inside the pants. So
It's
first,
really just inside our pants. Nobody else's pants are full of
no,
E and S and
sorry,
G.
that's not true, Matt. This is inside business pants. This is everybody's pants. All right, first, General Motors, Toyota, Hyundai, and Fiat Chrysler are all siding with the Trump administration in its bid to bar California from setting its own fuel efficiency and tailpipe emission rules for passenger cars and trucks.
Okay. Again, I have
Mhm.
paper. I did something.
Yeah, okay,
Um,
I'm excited.
so I was trying to figure out like why on earth. So there seems to be some sort of outrage about Toyota doing this because Toyota is actually pretty fuel efficient.
Hmm.
I mean, they're kind of associated with it because of the Prius,
Yeah,
right?
Prius. Yeah,
The hybrids. But
right.
apparently, 70% of Toyota's recalls last year
Yeah.
were Priuses, hybrids, and electric
Yeah.
vehicles.
Well, okay, but they're trying.
So, congratulations for making a car associated with electric vehicles and quality that you had to recall the next year.
Okay.
Um, Here was my theory was, and this is so cynical.
Yeah, let's do it.
Which one of these companies are under investigation by the U.S. National Highway Transportation Authority?
Okay.
Turns out all of them,
Okay.
but not
Are-
just them. Like, because I know
yeah.
Ford and Honda, among others, sat on the sideline. They didn't kind of wade into. They didn't intervene. They didn't wade in. They didn't offer
Yeah.
letters or support or anything.
Right. But they're also under investigation, you're saying?
They're sort of all under investigation for
Oh,
something.
okay. All right.
Although it looks really bad because just take Hyundai. They're currently under investigation as of September of this year. The investigation was ongoing because some of their engines were just catching fire.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Um,
right. Big
GM
deal.
has a problem with brakes.
Yeah. Just don't
Fiat
go anywhere. Yeah.
and Toyota
Hmm.
keep giving you cars with shrapnel in the airbags. This keeps happening.
Oh, don't crash.
So, is it really cynical to think that part of this is like because the administration has proven very happy with businesses who sort of listen to them? Is it totally cynical to just think this is like some sort of weird bribe?
No.
Probably,
I
right?
mean, how could that, I
Am I
mean, in
going
this
into
day and
deep
age, how
state
could that be
conspiracy
cynical?
theory?
You are a little bit, but I don't know how
Like
that
I
could be
can't
cynical
figure
in
out why the hell they would
2019.
they would they what they would do. GM, I understand. GM has some of the worst fuel efficiency of like global automakers.
Well,
Hyundai
yeah,
doesn't. Hyundai's among the best.
aren't aren't GM and Toyota in bed together? They have a lot of
They have
joint
like a yeah.
partnerships,
They do a lot of hand holding and long walks on the beach
right?
while
So that
building
might
cars.
be explaining Toyota. I
But
don't know about the other two.
Hyundai's the one that shocks me the most. Toyota actually didn't shock me nearly as much because of the recall issue, because of their investigations that are ongoing. I feel like people should be more shocked that Hyundai waded in at all. And
Yeah,
can I also add on top of this, because
sure.
the statistics are sort of scary. There was a more than 5% increase in pollution in the U.S. between 2016 and 2018, which the EPA, the administration's own EPA, estimated contributed up to 9,700 additional deaths, which is more than the deaths of all of the investigations for the car's problems.
Hmm.
What on earth is going on?
I don't know, but let's. This is a story we'll stick with. Obviously, this is not. I don't think this story is over.
Blows my mind.
Second, in the environment, an oil slick has been washing up on beaches along more than 1,400 miles of Brazil's northeast coastline, which is, according to officials down there, is considered the worst environmental attack in the country's history. All right, so here's what we know, Matt. We don't know anything. The origin of the spill is unknown, okay? But Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, first he blamed Venezuela, okay?
Hmm.
But then he's like, nah, I don't think it's them. I think it's Greenpeace, okay? Okay, he went from Venezuela to environmental
That's like a
activist.
straight up Terminator sort of tactic, isn't it? Like,
It's a chess move, obviously, because this is the guy who called global warming a plot by cultural Marxists and has eliminated the government's climate change division. So you do math on this one, Matt.
yeah, this one is confusing to me because it is the worst environmental disaster apparently on the coast of Brazil ever in history, and it looks like the biggest oil spill on the coast of Brazil. And no one seems to want to say where it came from, but it's really
Yeah,
hard
yeah,
to trust the guy who also says this is actually a problem. You know,
yeah.
I don't know.
This first reported September 2nd. It's now October 30th, and they don't know where the biggest oil spill in the history of Brazil came from. All right. Oh, that's nice. That one had a little bit more energy to it. I like to have a little something at the end. All right, let's go to our blowhard index. I don't think we spent enough time here. This is where we just talk about. It's mostly about analysts being stupid or getting things
I don't think
wrong.
no. It's not
No,
stupid.
no.
It's
Come on.
analysts having
Yeah.
opinions that they are never accountable for.
So analysts being dopes. Is that what you're saying?
It's just the constant slew of analysis with no tethering to reality. That is the business news.
Yeah. In Grubhub's latest earnings call, CEO Matt Maloney responded to an analyst question on reasons as to why restaurants might want to be upsold to pay to partner with Grubhub rather than selling through the platform as a non-partner by saying, quote, why would a restaurant choose to partner when they have a non-partner option? It's because the diner experience sucks. Which immediately elicited laughter, just like Matt's, from a non-muted analyst on the call, right?
So first of
So,
all,
yeah,
I think you need to explain Grubhub's business model is like they go to restaurants and they
I don't
say
even know what
you pay us and we will provide you a platform to deliver food, right? Like
it's mafia-esque, is what you're saying.
it sort of is, except I don't think there's any leg breaking if they don't pay.
Yeah,
Until now,
2019, like,
in which because Grubhub's basically their earnings were terrible this quarter. Not that anybody, I mean, like if you're ordering a pizza on Grubhub right now, you don't care that their earnings were terrible. You just want your damn pizza to show up. That's all you really want, right?
I do want my damn pizza.
But the earnings were off. The forward revenues look bad. The stock basically is plunged 40%.
Mm.
So Grubhub, their response to what they knew was going to be a problem is to say, let's allow restaurants who aren't paying us to just be on the platform, to offer delivery for restaurants not on the platform. And an analyst who I would say it was a blowhard, but it's kind of a good question, said, well, why would anybody be paying you then if you do that thing?
Yeah.
To which the CEO's response is a brilliant, because we effectively are going to make it suck for anybody who doesn't pay us.
We're going to mess with them.
That's great. I love
honest.
that. I wish more analyst calls, if more earnings calls involved
Had laughter.
that had laughter in, like a laugh track,
Yeah.
and or CEOs being full on sort of semi-mafia, everyone would listen to them.
You want to know what Goldman Sachs analyst Heath Terry had to say?
I do, boy, do I.
I called out an analyst yesterday. Maybe I should call out an analyst every day. Yesterday was Aaron Murphy from Piper Jaffray. Today is Goldman Sachs analyst Heath Terry. He admitted this. to his clients about Grubhub. He said, "We got this wrong."
Can you say that a little softer and sexier?
Thank you, Heath. I like that Heath admitted that. So is he? So does that mean he's not a blowhard?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Also, Palantir co-founder Peter Thiel. I don't even know what Palantir is. Peter Thiel really is.
Watch
He's famous
Palantir.
for eBay,
The
right?
Palantir is going to be one of those IPOs that we talk about like 6
Okay.
months from now about exploding.
So he's arguing that Elon Musk is a negative role model because he is so hard to emulate that young people may not even try.
This just seemed like clickbait, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I like it.
It's not great.
That was rushed. That was rushed. Keep the tempo. Don't forget. Biz Nuggets
On the
time.
Biz Nuggets.
What's in Biz Nuggets today? First off, I only bring this story up because we talked about IAC yesterday, and I remember thinking, "What the hell is IAC?" But now I kind of remember. So IAC chairperson Barry Diller. Oh, there's Barry.
Hey, Barry.
Barry Diller defended Mark Zuckerberg's decision to allow false political ads on its site. I just wanted to bring this up because I just want to talk about IAC. What did you talk about IAC yesterday? What was that?
So I did an analysis on which set of employees is most likely to rise up against their company.
Yeah.
And IAC was the only big tech company, if you can consider IAC big tech. They're the owner of OkCupid and Match and all. So it's the horny company. They're the only company that had a non-dominant shareholder. They offered employees, stock purchase plans, so they actually had some voting power. And they were controversial, and they were a big tech company. They were the only one that stood out in the U.S., hit all those buttons.
Okay.
So Barry weighing in and defending Mark Zuckerberg after
Perfect timing.
After Facebook employees write a letter to Mark Zuckerberg castigating Mark Zuckerberg. This is your moment, OkCupid employee, sitting there wondering what you're doing. This is your moment. Rise up against Barry.
This is also Free Float Media's moment because that's a good call. We just talked about it yesterday, and now he's aligning himself with probably the most unpopular CEO in America right now.
Congratulations for the win.
It. All right, WeWork because
because it's a gift that keeps giving.
I know it's hard not to talk about WeWork when it pops up. So let's not forget. Last week, WeWork accepted a $9.5 billion bailout. So obviously, we should be trusting them. They are going into video gaming, professional gaming. They have trademarked a new gaming arm called Play by We.
It's such a missed opportunity not to be Wii Sports.
But except Nintendo wouldn't like that, would they?
Well, they could be Wii Sports.
With an E.
I don't know. Let's
not forget that the Besieged startup has already branched into other fun businesses, and I'm not making this up. These are real. So in education, they had something called WeGrow.
Mm-hmm.
In fitness,
very similar to Weed Grow, which is their weed growing arm.
That's probably something that might make them money. In fitness, they had Rise by We. And then in co-living, they had We Live. Can I just say that they're obviously trying to be clever and they're failing every single time. All these names suck.
Co-living?
They don't do anything for me.
Co-living? Isn't that just roommates? Do we have to rebrand it co-living so I feel better about myself?
Co-living is what we've done all of our lives, right? I mean, I've basically co-lived since I was born.
Honestly, this is so weird. Why do we need to rebrand what is living?
We don't. And probably another reason not to trust companies to get $10 billion bailouts and give their idiotic owners $2 billion to say goodbye. Sorry.
So harsh.
Okay, finally, the Biz Nuggets. Another one of our favorite topics. A group of U.S. loss-making ride-hailing firms, which we know as Uber and Lyft, have launched a $90 million campaign to thwart a California law that could force them to treat drivers as employees.
First of all, good use of the word thwart.
Thank you.
Not used enough. Second of all, is this the beginning? Do you think after this, Lyft and Uber end up having like ride-hailing, loss-making babies somewhere?
They might. I think they're going to have. Yeah, it's going to have to come to that.
Third of all, this is like a California episode. Why does everyone hate what California does?
Well, we talked about California yesterday. They're the first one to pass a law to pay college athletes, which is a big deal here in America. Maybe not in Europe. But now they're on the forefront of emissions and the gig economy.
Gig economy, emissions, college athletes.
To you, California, I say.
California also, they've cornered the market on wildfires too.
So that's another initiative.
Congratulations, California! You're hitting. Yeah. No one likes you, and you're on fire. That's tough.
It is tough. Anything to say about this?
No, but it is a shot across the bow of the modern
being jerks.
This is the beginning of the war against what an employee is. This is not a story. This story started years ago, but them actually coming together to have this fight is effectively like. Their battle lines are being drawn. It's not like Lyft fighting its own people and Uber fighting its own people or fighting separately. Now they're actually joining together in a union of unholy loss making to tell every employee that they're not actually an employee. This is a fantastic thing that's about to happen.
Yeah, can I also say congratulations to both Uber and Lyft for taking a pretty good and convenient idea and just making it like dirtier and dirtier,
making us feel bad about every step of the way.
Welcome back, yellow cabs. All right, let's we have a little bit of a rebranding here. Oh, hold on. Sounds like someone has a callus. So it looks like we've rebranded. We're like a week into this, and we're already feeling pressures from above. So Matt's ball pit, it looks like, is now Matt's playtime.
Yeah, I didn't like calling the word pit and talking about my balls. I don't know, just.
Yeah, see, I didn't see it that way. I'm a dad. I go to a lot of trampoline parks that have very
it's weird that PG, your framing is I'm a dad. Talking pits. About balls and pits is fine.
See, I'm not talking about balls and pits. You are. I was talking about a ball pit, whereas, the ball is the adjective and the pit is the noun, right? So it's nothing
English
that
major?
You're talking about.
Come on, dial it back.
You're married to a doctor, so you get all. I get it.
All right.
What do you got today in Matt's playtime?
Matt's playtime is going to be a little bit of Matt's rant time because I want to talk about
this old man on the couch, Matt.
The streaming wars.
Oh, good. Okay.
HBO just announced as part of the streaming wars that they are, they are part of. They announced HBO Now is going to be $14.99 a month. It stands out as one of the more expensive options for the streaming wars. And it got me thinking, so you've got I listed out all the options that I could find, and they include like Hulu, Netflix, Disney, HBO, Amazon, Apple, Sling, CBS, YouTube, Fubo, AT&T, Plex.
Whoa.
There's actually more than we even know, and this doesn't include PBS even offers an app that you can in the US where you can donate $5 and they'll give you the app, but you can also get it for free. There's Crackle, that's for free. There's Quibi or Quibble or something that's also
I'm sensing that we really love watching TV. No, Americans.
I mean, it is shocking how much we like television. But I there's a bunch of articles about how much these things cost. So I just went out and kind of like aggregated most of the big ones. Sling is the most because Sling is like live TV. It's supposed to be cord cutting. It's $25 a month or so. And then you get into like the expensive sports channels, MLB, NFL. And then there's some kind of like weird ones to me. Like, I don't know what Philo is, but it apparently costs like $20 a month. That's what I thought. I thought it's like a flaky dough. If it only cost me $25 a month for all I could eat of flaky dough, I'm in.
That's a great life plan there.
But when you get into like the channels that that everyone's talking about, HBO, Netflix, Disney, Amazon, they start to come down to 15 and above. I did a quick histogram of this actually, because histograms are fun. So 22 of the roughly 30 companies or streaming services that I saw that I could find were between about $5 and $13 or so. So the vast majority of them sort of bulk in this
like
this
Netflix.
Space.
Yeah.
So when you think of streaming services, what you should think is I'm going to pay about $10 a month probably for whatever one thing it is.
You can actually just have one.
You could just have one. Oh, yeah. But what I wanted to do, because it makes me angry every time I see them. I wanted to actually identify.
I'm waiting for the rant, Matt.
Well, which of these companies do I actually want to watch? Like if I cared, if I was going to buy all the ones I wanted to watch, which ones would they be? So I identified just a few. It was like NFL because I like to watch football, even though
you're a man.
Well, I know it's watching large man-child like people concuss themselves. You got to be entertained by something. I also like the NBA, which is large man-child like people putting a ball in a hole. It's fine.
Right. You're very pro-China.
And then HBO, Netflix, Amazon, and Apple kind of round out my appeal. I have Netflix. I have Amazon. I like HBO.
You love those dragons, yeah.
When you add in how much what the internet would cost you a month in this country, in the United States of America, where internet is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It came to like $150 a month.
Yeah.
All the television that I would want to maybe watch. And I don't watch that much.
Yeah. That's fine, but just don't work for Free Float Media if that's what you want to.
So, good point. So, I had this idea of maybe this new innovation, and I want to run it by you. What do you think?
Okay. I'm ready. I'm going to put my coffee down.
What if there were some sort of device I could put under, I picture it. I could put this device under my television.
Under your television.
Yeah. And it got all the channels that I wanted, just the channels I wanted. That I could watch on my television.
Sounds brilliant. What are you going to call that?
I mean, if it was attached by some sort of cord, I'd call it cordal.
Okay.
But here's the thing. I crunched the numbers. I did the math here. What we're doing, obviously, the cost of cable right now is around $120 a month for like cable plus a bit, right? Like get you some ESPN and, whatever. If I wanted a get what I want right now premium, if I wanted to estimate that, it's basically the $150 a month I'd pay for the limited number of channels that I want minus cable. That comes to $400 a year that I will get overcharged just to get something I want immediately. You know where this got me?
No, I have no idea.
The winner of the streaming wars, I am going to announce it here and now on Free Float Media's Business Pants. The winner of the streaming wars is Amazon. Do you want to know why?
Yeah, tell me why.
Because Amazon charges you $120 a year for Prime.
Okay. Yeah.
And using that Prime, not only do I get the Amazon services of, free shipping and the television, the video, Amazon Video, I also can buy this. This is a 120-mile digital television antenna that I can use to not buy cordal and not buy any of these stupid streaming services. I am so out on streaming wars. It is unbelievable. It is the biggest money grab I have ever heard of. Every one of these companies is going to charge you $10 a month for one show you want to see and a whole bunch of crap you don't. This is worse than cable. How did we screw this up? Cable was terrible, and we made it worse. How did we do that?
It's Netflix's fault. They made it nice. They made it fun, and then it became not fun.
And now everybody thinks like they have to be Netflix somehow. This is worse. This is worse. It makes me wish.
I wish I had a. Yeah.
It makes me wish it was all over. It's all over.
Meter, because I think this is like on a scale from 1 to 10, it's like a 2. I feel like you could be angrier.
I hate.
Maybe next time you go into a rant, like loosen your tie or something, like put a little like charcoal on your face.
I'm gonna take off all my clothes and I am gonna throw them on the ground. It makes me want to do that
this is what you're worried
Thanksgiving
about.
thing.
This is what Matt Mascard's worried about. He's worried about Netflix.
I want to flip over a table and be like, "F this, I'm out of here."
Okay, that's it. That's enough for today. I'm cutting you off. That's a Wednesday.
Wednesday, October 30th. Tomorrow's Halloween. We got any Halloween treats?
Oh, right. I guess we should put something together, shouldn't we? Maybe look at some
Why don't we have our pre-production meeting off the air?
Okay. All right. Talk to you tomorrow.
You're Damien. I'm Matt. Talk to you all tomorrow.